again, Mark here from Talking Bass. Today I'm going to break down a bass riff that's been requested again and again and again. The main riff from Hysteria by Muse, played by Chris Wolstenholme. As always, the track and tab is all there over at Talking Bass, so just follow the link in the card or the info below to play along. Also give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for notifications on weekly lessons. Then let me know in the comments below what other Muse bass riffs you'd like me to break down. Hysteria is obviously the most popular by far, but Chris Wolstenholme has played so many cool sounding bass riffs, there's a lot to choose from. So let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Okay, so here's the main riff to Hysteria, played at the full tempo of 94 beats per minute. So, first of all, just a quick word on the sound and pedals Chris uses for the original bass riff. Chris Wolstenholme is renowned for his heavy use of effects, and the pedals used for this riff have been notoriously debated on bass forums since the song was released. The general consensus seems to be that the riff actually consists of 4 different sounds. There's the bass signal, which is split into 3 separate channels. There's the original unaffected signal, and then 2 distorted channels. One using a human gear animato pedal, and the other a big muff distortion. Then, to top things off, the line is also doubled separately with a Roland JP8000 synth. So there's a lot going on in there, but by all accounts, the animato is the key essential in really nailing that tone. But, you know, good luck finding an animato. They're really rare, and you're going to be looking at spending several $100 on one. For today, I'm taking the easy way out. I'm using an Electro Harmonix Bass Big Muff Deluxe that contains a blend control, so I get the effect of having the Big Muff channel and the original signal in there. So there's just no animato or Roland synth. I've boosted the tone a little on the Big Muff to get me a little closer to that nasal animato tone. But I'm obviously lacking a fair bit in terms of Chris's original sound. But it is what it is. It works okay for the lesson, and in a band setting, it'll give a pretty general approximation of the sound. If I was in a Muse tribute band, then fair enough. I'd want multiple Marshall stacks, you know, an animato and maybe a deep impact or future impact pedal to emulate the Roland. But for now, that Big Muff is okay. So let's have a look at the notes in there. Now, rather than running through every single note in there, because there's a lot of them, the tab's on screen and it's over at the website, so you can work through it note by note there, but I'll just give you a quick overview. Now, what we have here is pretty much a pedal point on the open strings for each of the chords as they go by. So we've got an A minor, an E7 and a D minor, and then back to the A minor. So we've got A, then E, then we've got D, and then back to A. So that's the open strings. Open A, open E, open D, and back to open A. So we start with this line. Okay, so it's always that open A there, and we've got the G and the A up there, 10th fret and 12th fret. So, and then back to the G. Then down to the E there at the 7th fret of the A string. So again, this is always moving in and out of that open A. Open A again, and then we have F, F, E, D, E, so 8th fret, 7th fret and 5th fret on the A string. So very slowly, that first bar. For the next bar, we move on to the open E, and we have the following. Okay, so open E then. Again, 10th fret and 12th fret of the E string, the D and the E there. Then we've got the G at the 10th fret of the A string. Back down to the open E, and then the E at the 12th fret of the E string. Then G, G, E, G, A. Okay, again, 10th fret of the A string, down to the 12th fret of the E string. 10th fret A string, 12th fret A string. Okay, so Next we move up to the D string for the D minor. So we have okay, so we've got the open D string again. Then we've got 10th fret and 12th fret on the D string, the C and the D. Just as we did on the A string. Then we have this descending chromatic line. Okay, so first we have 10th fret to 9th fret, then 9th fret to 8th fret, and then 8th fret to 7th fret. So C to B to B flat, and then B flat to A, okay, with an open D in between each one. So the fourth and final bar is exactly the same as the first bar, apart from we're starting on that A at the 7th fret of the D string that we just finished our chromatic descent with. Okay, so exactly the same as the first bar, but with the A at the 7th fret. Okay, and that's the whole riff in terms of the notes. In terms of the fingering on the left hand, you can pretty much do it all with the first 3 fingers. So that's first and third finger. Then move down with the first finger. Then for that section, you have a choice of 2 things. You can either play second finger, first finger, then slide down or just shift down with the first finger to the D and then third finger with the E, which is actually how Chris Wolstenholme seems to play it when you watch him live. Or you can make a shift and actually play 4th finger there on the F at the 8th fret. Okay, so either way, you know, whichever seems easiest, you know, completely up to you. The second bar can be fingered with the first and third fingers. And then when we get to the D, on the chromatic descent, you can actually do that with the second and first finger, the middle and index. Or you could use the index finger. Again, it's completely up to you, whichever seems more comfortable. So in terms of learning, practicing and memorizing this riff, I've got a few little tips for you. First of all, you want to break it down into smaller parts. So first of all, just break it down into 4 bars, you know, 1 bar each. So we have this bar, then next line, then, and then. Okay, so break it down into those, and then you want to break those lines down note by note. So for the first riff, you might start with the following. Just that. Just play it as slow as you can, focusing on your technique, which I'll cover in a second, and just learn those notes. So learn them slowly. That's it, just that bit. As slow as you need to, and then you can build it up. Then add another couple of notes. That way you don't have to learn the whole thing and then just work through it slowly, you know, trying to memorize the whole set of notes. I use this technique of just learning things note by note in this way and working on them as smaller chunks in learning pretty much everything, you know, especially harder lines, and I use this in learning longer classical pieces. So anybody that saw my breakdown of solfeggietto, you can see me using that technique there. I'm just starting off with a simple, you know, 3 notes, you know, just starting off with those, working on them, you know, that way you're getting it into the muscle memory, add another note, and you just work through it that way. So you want to focus on consistent technique, making use of the same picking patterns on every repetition, and look to keep a good, clean overall technique at all times. If your technique starts to suffer at a certain tempo, roll it back a little, play it round and round until you get it, and then just start to inch up again. And you know, like I say, you want this exact same picking pattern every single time, and you know, the same fingering pattern, because otherwise you're not getting consistent practice. Every time you play it, you You want to be starting on the same finger, and you want the same fingers doing the same things every time you play it. One other technical tip that I've got for this riff in particular is to start with the picking on the second finger, on the middle finger, okay? So it's alternate picking throughout, apart from one little bit, which I'll show you. So I'm starting with that second finger, and then it's just 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, until we get into the second bar when we get to the G there, 10th fret of the A string, we pick that with the first finger and then rake back to the open E, which means we're then on the second finger of the picking hand for when we play the E, the 12th fret of the E string. So. And what that does is it helps with the next few notes when we come back to the G, because we're going to be on the second finger and it's a little bit easier to move across. Okay, then once you get to the D, again, second finger. You can see there it's all alternate picking. And then we're on the second finger when we reach the A, which is nice for coming back down with the first finger, okay? So, all alternate picked apart from when we get to the G on the second bar, when we rake back onto the E string. So, now let's try playing through that riff with the track. I've created 3 different tracks at progressively quicker tempos. We've got 74, 84, and the original tempo of 94 beats per minute. So first of all, let's try at 74 beats per minute. Next, let's try 84 beats per minute. Okay. And finally, here's the original tempo of 94 beats per minute. So that's the bass riff from Hysteria by Muse. Give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more lessons every Friday. Also check out all the tab and tracks over at Talking Bass by just following the link in the info below. And while you're there, be sure to visit the lesson map page where you'll find over 350 free bass lines, all organised for ease of navigation. Okay, I'll see you next week.